welcome to Metro 360 News. It's your brother John back in the building, aka Mindbender, always on time with these great stories that you know and love. And today, we're going to dig a little deeper into Norris Anderson. Peep it out.
This is an automatic reading of the article, Who's the Man? As the evening sunset glows above a nearly deserted downtown Los Angeles, Norris Anderson slips out the back of the criminal courts building, lights a cigarette and ponders his bizarre ascension to the top of the biggest, baddest, most messed up rap record company in the world. Minutes earlier, 31-year-old Death Row Records CEO Marion Suge Knight was led out of a 13th-floor courtroom filled with sobbing supporters. He had just been sentenced to a 9-year state prison term. Defense attorneys, hip-hop artists and even noted rap detractor C. Dolores Tucker are still inside the courthouse eulogizing the fallen executive before a battery of TV cameras. Out front, about 100 Free Suge Knight picket signs, abandoned since lunchtime, lie along the sidewalk. I hate that circumstances are what they are, Anderson says, shaking his head. He takes a long drag, and the tip of his Marlboro turns the color of the smog-stained sky. Anderson fingers his lapel, which still bears the ribbon around the old oak tree yellow, not Death Row Red Knight supporters wore accord. Then he exhales. But you have to understand something else. Suge built this company, and his family was not really involved for a very long time. Then there came a point where he sought out his family to see if they wanted to come into the business. I'm sure there was a reason for that. Anderson suspects it had something to do with what has happened to Death Row Records during the past 12 months. He's certain it has everything to do with what will happen next. See, I'm Suge Knight's brother-in-law, Anderson reveals, raising his eyebrows and smiling. I married his sister. Everyone says, man, you look just like Suge. Well, I've known him for 20 years. I've known his sister for 20 years, and we've been married for 10 years. I'm just like, well, I'm part of the family. The 34-year-old Anderson is 6 inches shorter, 100 pounds lighter and a million times less intimidating than Death Row's 6'4", 350-pound founder, mentor and taskmaster. But he shares Knight's sense of opportunity and intense work ethic. Suge gave Anderson a receptionist job at Death Row 3 years ago, and his brother-in-law quickly made the most of that gesture of affection and nepotism. By last year, Anderson had worked his way up to general manager, a position that, within the company's abbreviated hierarchy, placed him a heartbeat or, as it turned out, a gavel's pound away from the top. When Knight was incarcerated in county jail on October 22 for violating probation from a 1992 assault conviction, Anderson began to oversee Death Row's operations. But his authority was only titular. Suge was still the man at the controls, Anderson says. I was in contact with him, he made the decisions, and I made sure they were carried out. However, California law bars prison inmates from operating businesses. So on February 28, when Superior Court Judge J. Stephen Zilliger formally reinstated Knight's suspended prison sentence, Anderson's responsibilities expanded. I've come a long way, he says now. I started out answering the phones. That's a long way. Knight and studio genius Andre Young, Dr. Dre, co-founded Death Row in 1992 and built the company into the world's top rap label, the first to score consistently big on the popular music charts. But those days are gone. 1 year ago this week, Dr. Dre defected from Death Row to escape the unsavory elements that permeated the label. In between came the murder of Tupac Shakur, whose arrival at Death Row exacerbated the company's inner turmoil. Shakur's volatile presence alienated Dre, whom Shakur continues to insult, even in death, on his posthumous release The Don Illuminati, The 7-Day Theory. And it was Shakur who, a few hours before he was shot on September 7, started the fight with Southside Crips gang member Orlando Anderson in the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas that ultimately sent Knight to prison. The fight was fuzzily videotaped on a hotel security camera, but Judge Zilliger ruled that it showed Knight violating his parole by kicking Anderson. That incident potentially had further repercussions early March 9, when 24-year-old Brooklyn rapper The Notorious B.I.G., Christopher Wallace, was gunned down outside the Peterson Automotive Museum on Wilshire Boulevard. Sworn affidavits filed in Knight's case contend there was a relationship between the Southside Crips of Compton and the New York-based Bad Boy.